So where my backstory started, or actually why I've started sharing it, is my daughter. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and about 2 years ago she said to me, "Oh, Mom, your life is so boring. All you do is feed us and do the washing. You don't do anything fun." And I just thought about it for a second and thought, well, I've done some fun stuff in my life, just not stuff you would tell your 12-year-old daughter, right? And then thought about it. And one of the things that I did in my past, which actually I now talk about because the thing was fun, was I was a bodyguard. Now, when most people hear about being a bodyguard, they think of Kevin Costner in the movie Bodyguard, right? So it has to be a guy and he's in a suit and he's all big and macho. The other thing people think about is a bouncer at a club, someone who won't let you in or who kicks you out when you've been drinking too much. Also, generally a guy, big, bulky. And I don't fit those molds. That's not what I do. So most people are surprised. And especially when I say this was in South Africa, which also, if you've been there, is not the safest place. It's a little bit different. But what happened was I was studying and I had to pay for my studies. So I found a way, as you do, right? I studied in the daytime and I worked as a bodyguard on weekends at night. And that's how I funded my studies in Cape Town, which was awesome. Now, the trick to this is actually a trick to my personality. Is the reason I did it was because I was told I can't. I was chatting to some guys and they said, they were talking about this and I was interested and they said, "Oh, girls can't be a bodyguard." And of course, that is red flag to a bull for me. Like, well, fine, sign me up. So it wasn't a plan. It wasn't something I thought about. Probably gave my father a heart attack. But I had to prove them wrong, right? I had to go and do it and I loved it. And I ended up working for 9 years. So being a bodyguard and marketing, how did that transition happen? Now, being a bodyguard is all about brain work. And the company I worked for had a theory had a slogan, which is dead bodyguards don't pay. I mean, dead clients don't pay, and dead bodyguards don't pay. So dead clients don't pay. So your job is to protect your clients. Your job is not to engage, to shoot the bad guy, to get someone arrested. That's the police's job. Your job is to make sure your client stays safe. And the way you do that mainly is by blending in. Because nobody really wants, the reason female bodyguards were hired and the reason I actually got a lot of work is because lots of my clients were executives who want to be protected, but don't want to necessarily be walking around with a big macho guy following them around. So I would be the secretary or the girlfriend or the whatever. I would just blend in and accompany them wherever. Another target client was women, especially in some religious groups. If you think a Saudi princess doesn't necessarily want to go shopping for lingerie with a guy on her arm. So there's a lot of religious groups that prefer women being with women rather than men. And yes, the movie The Bodyguard, where they fall in love, it does happen. So that's another reason why some men would prefer their wives to be protected by a woman, although, things can happen both ways. But anyway, that's another story. So being a bodyguard, I had to do a lot of prep work for a job. So if you have a job on a Saturday night and I'm going for dinner with an executive, for a whole week you prepare. And you prepare by understanding the client. Okay, you need to know everything about this client. Things like, will they faint if they see a gun? Because if that happens, it means I need to know to be able to drag them out of harm's way. Will they scream, run away? How will they react? So you spend a lot of time understanding your clients. You then spend a lot of time understanding the attacker. And in business, think about the competition, right? You need to understand the attacker. Well, are they quiet or do they like fanfare? Are they likely to work alone or are they going to work in groups? Do they like bombs or guns or knives? What's their modus operandi? Because all of this helps you prepare for the actual event for the day. And so most of my time in my training, and it's 6 months full-time training, most of my time was learning how to analyze people, analyze my clients, analyze routes, right? How many ways are there to get from A to B? What is plan B? What is plan C? Are there obstacles along the way where someone could be hiding and jump out at you or put a bomb or something? Buildings, if we're going for dinner at a building, where are the exits? Where are the entrances? Where's the loo? How will you get in? How do you get out? Where's the best place to sit? Even today, I can't sit with my back towards a door. It's just instinct. I have to be facing a door. My back against the wall. It's just how I sit, right? Because that's what I got taught. Have to keep the periphery, have to watch all the time. And you do this over and over, so it becomes second nature, right? So you're not thinking about it, you're just doing it automatically. And all these years later, it's still automatic, still what I do when I drive, still what I do, everything is just, it's programmed now. So thinking about your target market is exactly the same for me as thinking about being a bodyguard, protecting, right? Because marketing should be easy, not hard. And if you know the client that you're talking to, if you know your niche, and niche is a word that I think scares people. Remember, we're not excluding anyone. We're not saying you can't buy from me. We're saying, how do I focus my marketing? It's two very different things, because a lot of people are, no, anyone can buy from me. I sell to everyone. And I always give the example of chocolate. So let's think about chocolate. Show of hands, who loves chocolate? Okay, so if you were a chocolate seller, you would think, no problem, I sell to everybody. But here's the thing, I don't like chocolate. I'm not allergic, I just don't like the taste of it. It's never appealed to me. Whenever I get chocolate as a gift, my husband, who loves chocolate, always says, say thank you for me, because he knows he gets to eat it all, right? Well, if the kids don't get their first. But so if you were a seller of chocolate and you try to sell chocolate to me, well, yeah, you're probably going to waste your time, because I don't like chocolate. However, I may still want to buy chocolate for a friend. So how you talk to me to make me buy your chocolate would be different to how you talk to my husband, who loves chocolate, right? So if you're talking to my husband who loves chocolate, you would go, oh, this is so creamy and so delicious, and oh, look how nice it is, all about the taste. And that would, actually, you just have to show them the chocolate, you probably buy it. But anyway, like it's a very different sell. If you were talking to me to buy the chocolate, you could still probably get me to buy it, but you need to understand that I don't like it myself, but I have a husband who likes it. So you would talk about, hey, Erica, Valentine's Day is coming up. When you want to really buy something for your husband that he loves, you know he loves chocolate. It's a completely different message. And when you're understanding your target client, that's all you're doing, is you're saying, how do I talk to this person? We spoke about networking earlier, and it's the same thing, right? When you're talking, and Jamie, I have to give all kudos to Jamie. He was brilliant in our one-to-one, because he got me straight away, got me talking about something I love, which is my bodyguard work or my catfishing, and got me out of my shell, because I'm actually quite a nervous networker, and I'm a background, I sit in the background. But once you got me on a topic, great, I can talk about this. This is good. Like even now, my nerves are settling. I'm not shaking as much, because I'm talking about something I love. So even networking is understanding, okay, what makes that person tick, and how do I get that out? And then we have a mutual sharing. So it's understanding your niche, your target, the person you talk about, is actually a no-brainer. It's actually just the way we as humans should be, right? It's about relationships, and marketing should be exactly the same, because marketing is not about trying to force people who don't want what you have. And that's the misconception of marketing, right? And I get so angry when I think about the marketers of old. Think about the cigarette marketers. Doctors say that this is good for you. Do you remember those ads? Or am I giving my age away now? But they used to lie. They used to say doctors said smoking was good for you. Pregnant moms should smoke because it's calming for the baby. What? And people believe it. So marketers, they have this horrible reputation because of the way we used to do things, right? But real marketing is not that. Real marketing is spending time focusing on who you market. Now, how to do it? I think I've got 2 minutes left. So let me crack on. How to do it?
You take your time, mate. I'm loving this. Don't worry about 2 minutes. You go for gold.
Thanks. So how to do it? The easiest thing to do, okay, so most small business owners are in a lucky position that your target client is you, okay? Like it's just, I've worked with a lot of small businesses, and most of the time, as we're unpacking, it actually becomes clear that you've created a business for you, for what you love and what you want to do. So your target client is you. So that's really easy then, because when you talk like you're talking to yourself, right? Like you just, that's how you find yourself. You find people like you find, so most small businesses, that's the easy part. The only trick I would say, and I was working with my sister recently, is, and this is what we found, although they are looking for people like them, it's people like they used to be. Okay, so that's something you may think about, is it may not be someone who's like you now, but someone who's like you where you were before you went on your journey. So also keep that in mind. Sometimes it's very easy to forget. But my sister, for example, they're doing this beautiful thing called Dreamcast Journal, where they're doing journals for helping children overcome anxiety and stress and build resilience, the stuff that's happening in the workplace. And she's done that because of the journey she's gone through with her children, but her children are there already. So when they were marketing, they were talking to people like themselves now, and those people don't need help because their kids are okay, right? So I said to her, you need to go back to the way you were when you wanted the journal and think about what you were feeling then, the kind of person you were then. You were stressed, you were worried about your kids, they were acting out, whatever was happening then, that is what you have to talk about. Now, what I'm mentioning is pain points, right? Because that's how you get someone's attention. The brain, our brains are fantastic. He's laughing. I hope that's okay.
Only because one person on this call is going to be hating that you said that.
Okay. So the brain is fascinating, and but our brains are just built. And now, because there's so much info, if you think about how much info is hitting your brain on a per second basis, our brains have automatic filters. Okay, they're there. We can't help it. They've put in these filters to filter out what's junk, so that we protect ourselves, like we're not going to be overwhelmed. So basically what your brain has done is, if it's not of interest, if it's not of attention, it's out. And so think about all the marketing that your brain actually filters out. You're actually lucky that your brain is filtering out all the stuff it's seeing. Now, as a business, this is a problem because you want to get through to that brain, right? You don't want to be on the filtered out list. So the way to do that is you're going to find what that person's brain is picking up. An example I give is a Mini Cooper. So I've always wanted a Mini Cooper. It's a cute little car in the back of my head, but it wasn't practical for a family. But then when we moved into Harwell, I'm like, I can use a little runaround car just for me when I need to go networking or whatever, just for me. And my husband said, you've always wanted one, get one. So I did. Like, okay, good. Then the day I brought it home, everyone in my village has a Mini Cooper. Okay, all of a sudden, I'm like, there's a ton of these things everywhere. Now, I don't believe for a second that everyone in my village went to go and buy a Mini Cooper on the same day as me. So therefore, they were always there. But because it wasn't of interest to my brain, I hadn't seen them. Even though I'd driven past them, they were there. I mean, my neighbor has one. It's right next door. I never saw it, right? Because my brain had said not of interest. Now it's of interest. So now my brain is seeing them. And I'm sure you've noticed this in your lives. This happens all the time, right? So the way to get into your client's brain, number one, you need to know them. So this is why we need to know who they are. And you need to understand the pain point. Now, there's two kinds of pain points. The one is the nail in the foot pain point, okay? My daughter and I went hiking on the weekend and she got bitten by a stinging nettle, okay? Bitten, stung, I don't know. It hurt and she was upset. It was immediate pain. It was help me now. She was hobbling. It was like, oh no, okay? So if someone with stinging nettle cream had pitched up, she would have paid whatever, okay? Whatever it took, she would have given money at them. Please fix now. If you are lucky enough to have a product that solves a nail in the shoe, great. All you need to find is that person with that pain, right? And they will run at you. They will say, please fix me now. I have it now. However, most of us, and sometimes, and Pete and I had a great chat about this, sometimes it is the kind of person you want, and it's fine as long as you know. It's the pebble in the shoe pain, right? And again, she did also, look, hiking is obviously not my daughter and my forte, but we were trying it out. She's doing this Duke of Edinburgh thing. So we're like, okay, we better start practicing. So it's not the first time ever. And she did also get a pebble in her shoe, right? And she hobbled for quite a while. It was there, it was annoying, but she carried on hobbling, moaning the whole time, but hobbling. She carried on, didn't stop, until eventually we're like, okay, can you just please stop and take it out? Now, most of our services are for people with a pebble in the shoe point. It's there. They're like, yeah, I need to fix it. I know, but I can keep going. It's okay. It's all right. I can solve it. I'll keep going. Now, those people, you need to do a bit more of the brand awareness side, because you need to be in their face all the time, just keep popping up messages, nice, not too salesy, just value added stuff, so that when they do stop to take the pebble out, whose face do they see? Whose name do they think about? Who's first to mind? Ah, so those are the people that we need to build. That's a little bit of a longer marketing strategy. But if you know that, they don't have an urgent need, they're not running around going, help me, help me, help. It's not a fire. But they will at some point stop. And the thing with this is, you can't force them to stop to take the pebble out. There's nothing you can do. It will be when they are ready. And your job is then to just be around so that when they are ready, they think of you, right? And that's why network is important, relationships important, so that they're like, oh, photos, I need photos. Oh, I remember someone said Ian was fantastic. Let me have a call. Like, just be around, make sure that you're around and people remember you. So now, being a bodyguard, all my clients were nail in the shoe. I have to say that. If I wasn't there, they would not be here. So I didn't have people in the shoe clients. But sometimes it was boring. It wasn't all exciting. Sometimes I spent hours just standing in a corner watching because nothing happened, because I'd done such a great job at preparation that there was no attack, there was no incident. My client had a good time. I did not, because you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't dance. You have to just stand there and pretend you're having fun. My funniest story was, I took a client and I was at the waterfront. He wanted to go partying with his friends. Which was all fine. So I took a position at the bar so I could watch the door and watch him and his friends. And I paid the barman beforehand to say, okay, I'm going to order brandy and Coke, which in those days is what you drank to be cool. Please give me Coke. Okay, so just give me normal Coke. I have to look like I'm drinking, but I can't drink. And so they were quite happy to do that. So I sat the whole night drinking my Coke, ordering more brandy and Coke, watching the door and my clients. Lovely couple next to me were watching me. They were celebrating something. They were in their 50s. And so guess what they saw? A single woman, not unattractive, I think I'm pretty okay looking, sitting at the bar by herself, drinking and watching the door. So what did they think? I'd been stood up. So shame. They came over. They were like, don't worry, honey, plenty of fish in the sea. Oh, you're so pretty. This woman whipped out her wallet. This is my nephew. He's single. Can I take your number for him? And then started buying me drinks, obviously paying full price, and the barman happily taking their money while giving me the Coke. And yeah, it was. I'm saying funny. I felt very bad for them. I did get a date out of it, though. Only one date. It wasn't much. He wasn't for me, but you know. But yeah, that was just a funny story about my bodyguarding days. So I think that's a wrap for me, unless there are any questions.
Oh, that was brilliant.
That was so